Another thing I mentioned on the last episode of the MacCast was, especially with the new 48 megapixel camera and this whole ProRAW thing, that it's a little bit of a bummer that Apple has stuck with the lightning cable or lightning connector on the iPhone because of the speed. And I mentioned that the speed on the current iPhone, and this is true, is USB 2.0 speed. So 480 megabits per second, I think, is the top speed. So it's going to take a little while to transfer your photos off of your iPhone. And some people are even opting to just do it through the cloud or through Wi-Fi. As a matter of fact, I think Apple recommends that you do it through iCloud Photo Library and sync them back to your Mac that way. Well, Tim, who I know is an incredible podcaster and iPhone fanatic, he sent in this little audio comment with a little bit of a correction about Lightning and its capabilities. So here's what Tim had to say.
Hey Adam, this is Tim Chatton from the iPad Pros podcast. A bit of feedback for you regarding the Lightning connector and on iPhone, the USB 2 speeds. Well, on the iPad Pro second generation released in 2017, which was a Lightning-based iPad, those iPads were USB 3 speeds. So the connector itself, it appears Apple knows how to put USB 3 speeds into that thing. Maybe there's a space consideration for iPhone, I'm not quite sure. But just a bit of feedback that the Lightning connector has indeed done USB 3 speeds in the past. Love the show. Keep up the great work. Bye.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that because I had actually honestly forgot about that little tweak. It's interesting, though. You'd think that it wouldn't be a space constraint unless it's something with the processor, but I think these days, if I'm not mistaken, Apple puts all the controllers in the A-series chip, and you would think if they could do it in the 2017 iPad, they could do it in a 2022 iPhone. But I'm sure they have their rationale and reason. I still think my original kind of thought stands that it seems like it might be time to move to USB-C. Presumably then we would gain Thunderbolt 4 USB 4 support, which is up to 40 gigabits per second, at least 20 gigabits per second to support and be USB 4 compatible. And that would be versus, even if Apple were to do USB 3 with the Lightning connector, 5 gigabits per second? So at least 4 times faster if we get to USB-C. And it really just feels like time. I guess that was my ultimate point behind that, is like, yeah, we're ready for it. We can move away from Lightning. I know there's a lot of Lightning accessories out there, and people have a lot of Lightning cables and charging devices and all that stuff, but Apple's switched connectors before. You know, we went from 30-pin to Lightning, right? To 30-pin to Lightning. I'm trying to remember the actual chronology. It's been a long, long time. But you get my point. I mean, we can switch connectors. I think it's time to do it. I would be shocked if the iPhone 15 is not a USB-C device. I think it's working great on the iPads. I love my USB-C connections with iPad. I'd love to see them switch the AirPods over to that. Like, let's just go across the board, USB-C, Thunderbolt 4, and move on with our lives, right? I think it's time. So, just my opinion. As always, if you have a different opinion or you agree, give me some feedback. Maccast@gmail.com.